Hey everyone, welcome to the Heroes World Quarantine podcast. We are here today because news is broken, as Rob and myself were talking, that from Deadline, that Henry Cavill is back as Superman in a unique capacity. So we're going to talk about that today. But before we go into that, of course, I am here with proprietors of Geekware, which is Andre and John of Heroes World. Andre and John is in his Batmobile driving. And we are here with special guest star Rob, as always. Hey, Rob.
Hello.
So, again.
No Heather Locklear comment this week? Always a bridesmaid, never a bride? What's going on,
I think
Stu?
if you listen to the podcast enough, you'll know that that's my Heather Locklear plug of the week. So we are here to, again, talk about that topic, but also want to thank everyone for your support. We dropped the D&D draft on Wednesday, so if you're watching it then, hopefully you'll give us some feedback and comments. We are reading all your comments, especially last week of when we talked about the Superman, the Zack Snyder Justice League cut. So there were some words flown at my way, so I appreciate them. I'm not a hater. Again, Ben Affleck was the bomb in Fan of Zio, so I'm just cautiously. I can't even say cautiously optimistic. I'm just cautious.
You're not optimistic at all.
No, you were grumpy last week, and that person pulled you out. That person was like, they didn't even take a time to look at what your name was. They were just like, hey, guy in the green shirt, stop talking.
I guess I'm fine, but again, like, you can only shine a turd so much. So let's see what happens. I'm curious to see what happens because again, they can throw money at the problem, but that again, we'll see. If there's a total refresh of Steppenwolf and the everything, we'll wait and see. So as I often tell Andre, I'll wait till the product is done. I will watch it, and then we will talk about it and see. I am not optimistic. That is true, but I will wait till it comes out. But
it's got to be better than what we had. Look, they screwed up. They shouldn't have had Joss Whedon follow Zack Snyder. They are two totally different filmmakers, and when you watch that movie, it was like a patchwork. You could tell that the pieces didn't go together, and that was a problem. Look, whatever comes of this Snyder cut, it might not be a fantastic movie. It might not blow a Marvel movie out of the water, but what we will get is a clear story told the way the person who created it wanted to tell it, for good or bad, but it won't be a Frankenstein mishmash that had parts that were good and parts that were utterly crap.
But again, let's not forget that there was a situation that transpired which led to him leaving the movie, the death tragically of a member of his family. So it's not like I'm saying that like this is it can't be fixed, but it's still a monumental task.
Stu, it's not a question of being fixed. The person who came in has a fundamentally different view of the characters and storytelling. That's like, let's put this in the terms of, say, a musician or a comic book artist. That's like literally having, Flava Flav step in to cover Guns N' Roses or something. Like, he's like, Axl Rose is like, hey, Flava Flav, come and finish my song. I wrote two phrases or verses for it. Flava Flav, come and fix it. That ain't gonna work. Well, if it's a comic,
that would be fire.
That is like if you had Jim Lee drawing something, and then you got like.
So then, Andre, are you
like Bill Sankovich? They're both great people, but
are you prepared?
Styles,
are you prepared? Can we jump on the Lord and Miller Han Solo movie then? Because
we're doing this right now. Are we getting into?
If you're gonna jump into it, because let's just say the director who took over is basically the opposite of who they are. Although he won Academy Awards.
If you want to talk about Solo, at least they pushed back the film and they reshot a ton of it.
But apparently the movie was mostly done with Lord and Miller's take anyways.
Yes.
Pardon me?
Lord and Miller did most of them. It was already pretty much done.
Yeah, but they scrapped most of it and they shot. But either way, that movie.
But that's the exact same thing with Snyder Cut. But then you're also, that's the exact same argument.
Well, hang on. So the question should then be, Andre, are you interested in seeing the Lord and Miller solo cut? Is that something that interests you? Because I think we need to we need to differentiate what's happening right now. Is that they're taught this? Listen, just like we talked about last week, and people should go check out that episode. The Snyder Cut is out. It's coming out in 2021. Now there's a movement to release the Ayer cut, his cut of Suicide Squad. I think the only fandom that's pushing that is David Ayer. And John. And John. Right. There's not. I don't think there's. I think there's a big difference between what happened with Zack Snyder and what happened with David Ayer. Ayer has gone on record, and everybody knows his version of Suicide Squad was taken over by Warner Brothers. They made some creative changes or forced him to make some edits and this and that. But unfortunately, that's the nature of Hollywood nowadays. What happened with Snyder is a whole different situation. But there is parallels between what happened with Snyder and Whedon, and then what happened with Lord and Miller and Ron Howard Solo. So I guess it goes back to my initial question: is Andre, would you want to see this alternative existing version of Solo, or are you happy with the way it turned out and that's it?
Okay, so unfortunately, like, Star Wars is super near and dear to my heart, and
what
I think that whatever Lord and Miller was doing, there was a reason they got fired from the job. Zack Snyder was not fired from Superman. So whatever they did on
there were rumors that there was half the reason too was that they were looking to get rid of him.
Again, whatever the reasoning is, they didn't say that was the official, but we know Lord Miller. Also, all the rumors that we heard from Han Solo is just like that the guy couldn't act and they had to send him acting lessons. Anyways, that movie's a train wreck. I wouldn't be interested in seeing what they had originally envisioned, not because I don't like Han Solo, but I just don't think that you like where they were going and taking the movie. I think they were the wrong choice right from the get-go. You know what I mean? So I think that maybe the line that they wanted to toe with the Star Wars movies, which end up sucking anyways, they just decided that it wasn't the right thing. So no, I wouldn't care to see that. However, I would be more interested to see an Ayer cut, because Suicide Squad, again, it felt awful. You know what I mean? Like look, there's, like you said, if you hire the director to do a job, the director knows that somebody may edit it and they make changes. But I think what's going on now is that studios don't want the director to bring their vision. They want the director to make stuff, and then they want to put it together. So I think some of these guys are getting, really hampered creatively. And then these movies are coming out and they're sucking. And then people say the directors suck. And maybe it's not 100% true. But again, Suicide Squad, I wouldn't be clamoring for it, but it's just like the cut for Batman versus Superman, the director's cut. Nothing could save that movie, so I didn't even bother watching that. But
I watched it.
He got to finish and put out what he thought, right? With Justice League, there was moments in Justice League that I genuinely liked, but there was other parts of that movie that were just garbage. And again, you could take a fifth grader and they could tell you who wrote what in it. That's how apparent it was. So I do believe for Justice League, there's merit. I don't think for a lot of the other people coming out and saying, oh, maybe we need to do a cut here or there. Listen, if the studios want to make some money and release these things, and if fans gobble it up, that's on them. But I think maybe going forward, what we need to do is we need to have directors maybe sign better contracts and say, yeah, if I don't get final edit, I want, tertiary edit or something, in that their vision can't be, shellacked by another director coming on and overwriting their stuff.
Well, so last week Stu and I disagreed. I think it's safe to say I'm all for the Snyder cut. Stu said this is going to open up a can of worms. And to Stu's credit, I will agree that ever since that happened, now you started to see, the internet start asking the Ayer cut, the Josh Trank Fantastic Four cut, because we all know he was, the Fox took over what was happening there, and Simon Kingsburg, redid some shots, did reshoots and everything else. Josh Trank went on record this week on Twitter when somebody said, are we going to see a Josh Trank cut of Fantastic Four? He's like, no thanks. He wants nothing to do with it. Stu standing in front of the Rogue One set. Rogue One was famous for, Gareth Edwards was was the director, excuse me, and then somebody else came in and they did reshoots with a whole new director to spice things up, to give it something, okay? And it came, and what we got is great. And Gareth Edwards is still, listed as the director. I know that you don't like it, but a lot of people do. I like it for what it is. So Hollywood is it's really been apparent in these last 20 years that Hollywood will come in, they do reshoots, especially in these last 10 to 15 years. They'll do these reshoots. They budget it in to say, hey, we're doing an extra $5 million of reshoots. Sometimes they bring in a new director to kind of push it over the line and say, hey, we need something else here. We need somebody else. Just like how Quentin Tarantino came in and punched up Crimson Tide's script. They needed a little bit of...
There's 100 people that punched Crimson Tide's script. So
right,
before you... There's like...
No, but there's
like 12 people that did Crimson Tide.
Right, but I'm saying is that, I grew up in an area, I worked at a video store. I grew up in an era where there was 18 versions of Blade Runner. Like, I don't need to see 18 versions of these other movies. Suicide Squad had the theatrical cut and then the extended director's edition. I don't need to see the Ayer
I watched
cut
that
of
one
Suicide
too.
Squad. Right, and it did nothing. I don't need to see the Ayer cut for Suicide Squad. Now, if I have, in Canada, we'll have it on Crave, and then it's on HBO Max in the US. If it's on, will I watch it? Probably, just out of sheer intrigue, but only because it's on. Am I clamoring for this? Not at all. And I don't want to start seeing these alternate cuts of movies coming out because I think it takes away from the original source material. I think the only other time that people got excited, there's a lot of groundswell, was for the Donner cut of Superman 2. And that took, 25 years for it to be released? Snyder cut, thankfully, has only taken 3 years for releasing it. I think...
Yeah, it's
I don't want to see it going on and on and on. Yeah.
I think that's your prerogative, and I think that's why it's so great. It's going to come up to if the studios think they can market it. However, if they would just do the director's vision first, they wouldn't have to do that. Listen, in some cases, directors come on and they do, like you said, punch up or make something better. But a lot of times, like I said, like there's people that take a lot of flack because the movie or the show isn't what it could be, and we don't see the claws that are manipulating things and changing things.
Yeah, but
so
Andre,
I think,
we talked a bit last week about collaboration. To make a movie, it requires a lot of collaboration from actors, editors, directors, and executives. And we've seen our beloved boy, George Lucas, with complete power, make a complete bad movie. It's not good when he's given full power. Just like J.K. Rowling, given all the money in the world, she makes fantastic beasts and where to find them. You can read all the Harry Potter books and know exactly when you stop using an editor. Because the less time, the more power you have, corrupts absolutely. You need a checks and balance.
It's true, but I think like then what they have to start doing is making those creative teams better.
Strong. Yeah, agreed.
It like right from the get-go, instead of saying, oh, we want to see this person's version of something. Like, you can argue that the prequels weren't good movies, right? Everybody's going to say, oh yeah, I didn't like this. But don't tell me that the prequels aren't better than 7, 8, and 9. Right? 7, 8, and 9 had no vision at all. I'd rather take Lucas's vision than no vision at all. Right? So I think there is something to be said about giving somebody the creative freedom and saying, hey, this is going to be my vision. Let's take the great movies that it was one person's vision. Terminator, Aliens.
Well, there's a theme you're going on here. There's a James Cameron theme happening.
Well, James Cameron, like these guys get carte blanche. One of my favorite movies, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Great collaboration from the team, but they were also allowed to grow and work together. I think the problem with these superhero movies is all they want to do is they want to step up to the plate. They want to hit a freaking grand slam without loading the bases. So they say, give me this director, give me this actor, and we're going to crab mash this screenwriter, and we get this thing that they don't get. Let me finish, dude. They get a package that they're like, oh, well, this doesn't dot all our I's and cross all our T's. Let's bring next director in and a next script doctor, and then the movie is just this, you don't even know what it is, right? So I feel that the directors, if they did really love a project and if they care about their reputation, they will be like, you know what? I would like the fans, or I want my vision to be out there so people don't think I suck, you know? And I think that's any creative person will tell you, if they were able to speak freely and not worry about the fallout and having to have a job in Hollywood or at Marvel or DC, I think those people will tell you really what happened to them and why that was a mistake or something. And they didn't
I
live
don't
up to
disagree with you,
standard.
Andre, but you can count on your hand how many people get final cut, like a Tarantino, there's Spielberg and James Cameron. If you're a new director, even Michael Kugler didn't get first like final cut for Black Panther. But again, like you have to earn that level, and you have to do a few movies.
Sure. But when you tap a guy, when you tap a guy like Zack Snyder and you say, we're going to give you the DC universe, and then 3/4 of the way through, you're like, we don't like what you've done, let's get rid of you. Well, that's that you liked it enough for the first Man of Steel, you liked it enough for whatever, and then you take away
whatever being Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, but no, I agree with you, Andre.
Whatever.
You blame leadership
at that point, right? Like, so we'll never really know. Was it because of his family situation? Unfortunately, that's a terrible thing that happened, or did they want to fire him? And I always thought it was odd that he left, but his wife still produced. I'm like, well, shouldn't the two of them be grieving together or whatever? Anyways, I think that if we see him, we see him. But the good thing is, you don't have to spend money or support them if you don't want to. And if we don't do that, guess what? They're not going to make more.
Yeah. The one thing I did notice in one of the comments on this topic last week on our YouTube channel is that somebody pointed out, and I completely forgot about this, we will not be seeing the mustachioed Henry Cavill in these reshoots, because all of that was under the Josh Whedon time. Yeah, so we will never have, we won't have that issue with Cavill as Superman in the Snyder Cut. Which then, I don't know if this is a great segue or not, but then leads me to believe, will he be coming back to do reshoots for the Snyder Cut? Because now we know, breaking news, he's back in the DCEU.
Well, based on all the reports, are saying they're not spending money on actors, it's CGI and fixing whatever they have in place. I think it's too expensive to bring these guys back to do actual reshoots. So it's going to be CGI, $30 million on fixing up the post-production on all the other ads.
You never know. Already. They all came out and supported it. They all did. They did the hashtag. You never know. Maybe they say, you know what? I'll give them one day. What if every one of those people said, we'll give you one day for research?
Well, they'll do the ADR. They'll do the voices. Yeah, ADR is what they'll do. And I just, so again, Deadline's reporting that Henry Cavill has agreed to come back as Superman in a various capacity. Essentially, he'll be doing cameos in movies, but it won't involve his own Superman movie at this standpoint. So he could potentially show up in, maybe the new Batman movie or the Shazam movie or whichever, the Rock's movie, but he won't be on his own. So kind of similar to what Mark Ruffalo has in the Hulk. So that's what they're looking for Henry Cavill. And he agreed to this, and that's why he was on that video podcast or audio with Zack Snyder anyways.
For the Man of Steel, yeah.
Man of Steel. So fine, he's back.
I'm happy about this. I'm happy.
It's so, again, it's the same DC mentality where it's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Make a decision. Either he's your Superman or not. Clearly, pay him the money that he thinks he deserves so you can give us another Superman movie. Don't do a halvesy like, he'll show a cameo here and there. I'm like, we've been deprived of a Superman movie for long enough. Let's get another one out there, either with a new vision, make a happier Superman, bring a new Superman. Let's just do something different. Don't give me the same Superman, but only in a small capacity. It's not like another entity owns the rights to Superman. Warner Brothers owns him, so they can put him in whatever he wants. But yes, go for it.
Right, but we don't know the reasoning as to why Warner Brothers / DC are going this route. First of all, I'm happy that he's back, okay? And if it's going to be in these, I would like to think they're probably more than just cameos, like more than just like the Shazam headless cameo of Superman. I'm sure.
Well, that wasn't even him.
No, but I'm just he was supposed to and he wasn't. But I'm saying I'm sure it'll be more than just a small little 10-second clip. I'm sure you'll start to see him probably interface more. You and I talked off camera whether or not this is going to be kind of akin to Downey Jr. in his role. I mean, I know they're referencing the Ruffalo Hulk, with Ragnarok and whatnot, but about how Superman will be kind of that statesman going in between each of these properties, some of that. I think it's a good idea. So my original point was I don't know what they're thinking as to why. Maybe it's because of his scheduling with The Witcher and everything else. Maybe he's already committed to other movies in the future, so they know they only have certain windows of opportunity to be able to use him. However, there is a potential, and I'm just now thinking of this, that if he's appearing in these other movies, he's a connective thread, and then after his fourth cameo, so on, he'll be in his own movie. He'll bring everything together. If that is what they're doing, they're trying something different, and because obviously what they did before didn't work. So as much as I would love,
like a reverse Avengers,
right? But as much as I would love him to be in his own Superman movie, maybe this is a good way to give us that tease, and then have him, and then give it to us when we want,
I think it's a good mix. Look, he only really got to play him in one movie. I would like to see him get a real chance to play both Superman and Clark Kent. But I think he was such a good Superman and the potential to do it that I was really shocked when all those rumors came that he had parted ways with DC. I think it's a stupid move. Like, not saying he's the only guy that could do it, but I think there's something really special about this guy. He's passionate about it. Look what he did for The Witcher. He's a guy you can bank a franchise off and you can bank stuff off of. He's got star power. He's got the appeal to multiple audiences. And he's good. Dude, women love this guy. Guys like this guy.
Kids like him.
I dispute your star power comment. I think he's adequate. I think he's a good actor, but star as in what star? Like, can he drive his own movie? And I don't know whether.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
And again, I don't like the guy, right? But he's a bigger name than fucking Robert Downey deadbeat when he was in Iron Man, right? Robert Downey was tarnished goods when he got Iron Man.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Made money in that movie.
But the pedigree.
You want to bank on someone to carry your franchise, and you're going to tell me you're not going to choose Henry Cavill?
He was nominated for a Academy Award, and he had some drugs.
Yeah, but he was also a drug alcoholic, whatever. He was not. Listen, that's the biggest Hail Mary. Nobody in a million years. Yeah. If you told them that Downey Jr. is going to be one of the highest paid actors and he will rocket the Marvel Universe as Iron Man, nobody would have bet you any of that.
Yeah.
So don't tell me that you need pre-built star power to play a hero. Gal Gadot will be a better Wonder Woman and well-known Wonder Woman than Linda Carter will be. And that's because they're owning the roles. And yes, she's not a household name before it, but she's gonna earn it. She's gonna have.
Here's the thing, Andre. I think as the rumors had it that Henry Cavill didn't cameo because he was negotiating a new salary for the Superman movie, and his representation, Danny Garcia, wanted him to be paid A-list money for his role, and I don't blame her for doing it. But outside of Superman, he did Man of Steel in 2013. The next movie he did, which he was critically underrated for, was The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I thought he was really good in that. Yep. I thought our boy Armie Hammer was very good too. So
another podcast where Armie Hammer is mentioned.
Synergy.
We're on a roll.
But then after that, it was Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and then Justice League, and then he had a dry spot. He didn't really book anything outside of.
He was great in Mission Impossible. What are you talking about?
Yes, and then there was Mission Impossible where he played the secondary villain.
And now he's The Witcher, and he's getting critical acclaim for The Witcher.
But look right now.
He's going to get a spin-off, right?
On
he's back for the next movie.
He's got nothing. He has nothing on his agenda. He's free.
Wait a minute. He's got that Sherlock Holmes.
It's already done.
That Netflix. Okay, so is that a show or is that a movie?
It's a movie Brown. And it's completed. So then he has nothing else. He's available.
He's back to The Witcher, and he's right now. They were in. Was it Prague or the Czech Republic? I think. Whatever.
I just don't
The Witcher
know if
before
he's
they shut down because of the pandemic.
A big enough star to drive it to where it needs to be. I get it. He's a fine actor,
but then look at the original Christopher Reeve.
What did Ben Affleck do? What did Ben Affleck do for the Batman movies and the Justice League movie. Nothing. So I think, honestly,
but that was
looking at this star thing way too much. These people are playing characters that people want to watch. Nobody's going to the Thor movie because it's Helmsworth. It's because he's playing goddamn Thor. End stop. You could put somebody else in whatever, and he.
So
if
isn't
you're
that the
telling
argument?
me he can carry.
But did you just make an argument that we don't need him to be Superman because anyone will just watch Superman? Did you just say that? So could we just get a new Superman?
You need a certain star power, and I'm saying this guy's got it regardless.
You're just saying anyone could do it, so let's just get anyone else. I'm happy to get someone else.
You know what? You could get anyone else, but what I'm saying, you for some reason want an A-lister to play these characters, and no actor starts as an A-lister taking these roles. There's no A-lister playing a superhero, nor did any A-lister start.
No, you're up and coming. You're right.
Will Smith.
They became A-listers because of that.
You're right. You're right.
Well, listen, you go back to the Christopher Nolan movies. I mean, Christian Bale was known. He did a bunch of movies, but he wasn't A-lister, not at all. And I think being in those movies. So
but again, you get to the point where you become an A-lister or you don't. And I think my whole comment was that he believes he's an A-lister and deserves A-list money.
No, he doesn't need to believe that he's an A-lister because his agent's doing what would be best for her client and best for her. So, like, I mean, listen, I think that Cavill is this generation's Superman. What's interesting is last week we talked about we're in 2021, we're going to have two Batman. In 2021, we're going to have two different Supermen because now you've got Cavill coming back, and now you've also got that new CW show. Right?
Yeah, that's a TV show. It doesn't.
No, but what I'm saying is that DC has expanded. They were always, if it's on the silver screen, you can't have the same character on. You couldn't even mention them on the small screen. Mm-hmm. So Superman as a character is.
Well, you can thank Green Arrow for that.
Well, there you go.
Because Amel asked, can I say Bruce Wayne?
Yeah.
Because he's like, I'm not that thing. I'm not Bruce Wayne. And they're like, yeah, go for it. He's like, yeah, okay. And then he said it on Arrow, and then everything changed. So
I think Cavill is this generation Superman, just as Christopher Reeve was my generation Superman, up until Superman 3. And then I'm excited to see it. I would love as a fanboy to have him in his own movie, but I kind of think, listen, they could do it really well. They could do the character justice, no pun intended, by having him coming in, as long as it's not shoehorned in, as long as it's an organic, be it a cameo, co-starring role, or whatever the case may be, that it adds something to the movie while still leaving breadcrumbs for what will hopefully come down the road. I'm cool with it. But I would rather have Cavill in that role than somebody else, to be honest with you. I want to see Cavill.
If it means me getting my standalone Superman movie, I'm ready to take anyone else. I just want another Superman movie. I want to roll the dice and do a non-Zack Snyder Superman, and let's see what happens. Let's try something new, because DC's shown the propensity to try new things. It's the one thing I like about the direction right now. I can give credit to DC. They messed up, and now they pivoted, and they made a good Shazam movie. And if they keep on doing different stuff, as much as I wasn't a fan of the Joker, they went for a different direction. As long as all the other movies going forward don't have to be in a shared universe, I'm fine with it. It's one of the it's one of the good things about the Marvel is it's a shared universe. But the other thing is bad is that it's a shared universe, so you can never have anyone show up on other things because of contracts.
Right. Now, what's very interesting is that this is the first actor portraying Superman who has essentially been written out and back into the franchise. So on screen, you've had Kirk Allen way back in the 40s as Superman. You had George Reeve do the one-time movie before the show. You had Christopher Reeves. Yep. Then you had Brendan Routh, and now Henry Cavill.
Yes.
So you've had, 5 actors portray this one character. Who are you taking? Who is your Superman?
We talked about this off the podcast,
I know, and
which is why you have the list.
Why I'm bringing it up.
You forgot about Brendan Routh. Christopher Reeves. It's not even close. It's Christopher Reeves.
I'm bringing this up because this was a hot take. So for those
because we know what Andre says and we're losing our minds.
Yes. So for those watching, right before we went record, we were just having this like off the record conversation. It's, what would you like and this and that. And then Andre chimed in with what I was quite surprised in on his hot take. So what there you go, Andre. What embodies Superman for you? What we were talking about is physique wise.
No. You didn't say what embodies Superman. You said who's your favorite Superman or who
I'll go both.
We were talking physique, right? What physique would you prefer? We always say like Christopher Reeve was the tallest, right, Stu? I think he was 6'4". And he has a basketball player's physique. He was lean, muscular, but lean. Brandon Routh is a little bit tinier.
It's a wrestler. He's a wrestler, and he was 6'2". He had I think he's a big dude.
Yeah, and then you had Cavill, who's almost 6'1". Yeah, and almost 6'1". Yeah. And then, but like jacked. So what physique? Because that jacked look kind of came into the comics like what, Andre, around the 90s or so, right? I mean that over muscular physique of Superman.
Pretty much the late 80s, where you had like John Byrne.
Man of Steel,
more definition and stuff. So yeah, like for me, the physique of Superman is Cavill. Like he has to be ripped. He's the epitome of unfortunately, like, it's superhuman perfection. But it also works on different levels and we didn't get it in the movies, but that's why the Clark Kent persona works so well, is because he wears baggy suits that don't fit him, and he never looks kept, and he slouches. And if you go back, one of my favorite Superman stories is Superman Man for All Seasons by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, and they draw him as a Kansas farm boy. He's a big guy, and that, to me, that's Superman. He's got to be big, not like dark side big, but like, sometimes you just meet a big dude, you're like, whoa, like, you're huge. That's him. And it's like, he's got, like, to me, he, it's like he's gotta be ripped, and I think for Cavill's portrayal of Superman, like, I think he had that presence. Like, he just... Oh, no,
I don't dispute you, but is he the best Clark Kent?
That's not a fair thing, because the movie never wrote Clark Kent into the script.
So, well, hey, wait a minute. Hey, wait, that's not true. Man of Steel, he was never Superman until the very end of that movie. He was Clark Kent throughout the entire movie.
Correct. However, it was a different Clark Kent. We did not get the Clark Kent that we have known till the end of the movie, where he gets the job.
So here's my theoretical question to you, Andre.
Daily Planet.
So let's say a time machine. You can take Christopher Reeves, bring him today, give him PX90, give him a trainer, a Kumail Nanjiani 6-pack. Would you rather him or Henry Cavill? You give him everything you have today to modern technology and science, and you have Christopher Reeves, 6'4", huge dude.
No.
You still take Henry Cavill.
Yeah, because the thing with Christopher Reeve, he was the embodiment of Superman at that time. He was like I don't know how to phrase it right. Like it was, I don't know, like if you go back and you look at Superman art, if you look at the 70s, you look at Garcia Lopez, you look at Kurt Swan, you look at those guys, that's kind of the look that we got for Reeves. I think Reeves was cast more. Reeves Clark Kent looks like more Clark Kent than he does look for Superman. Who's the gentleman who played Superman in the TV spot in the 40s?
George Reeve. It wasn't the 40s. It was the 50s.
The 50s, yeah. He was jacked. Like, that's a guy. See, he looked better as Superman than he looked as Clark Kent. So I think what you're asking is, if I could take it, I would take Reeves Clark Kent, but I'd take Cavill's Superman. Just like, if you were to do the analogy for Batman, I don't want Keaton as Batman, but he played a good Bruce Wayne.
The best Bruce Wayne.
Right? So I think there's a disparity. The reason why I'm so gung-ho about wanting Cavill is because I don't think he got the chance to play Clark. And I think that's what, if this is only cameos, I don't see how they can write something in that we're going to get both Superman and Clark Kent.
Or you're not going to get Clark Kent. You're just going to get Superman. Yeah.
But maybe what if they're smart and Clark Kent is a reporter following whoever that superhero is, and then that's how they team up. If they're smart, they can do that.
Yeah, but then the fans want to see Superman, not Clark Kent, to do it.
But,
so then it's...
but I hear what Andre's saying, though.
If you're going to see Clark Kent, he's going to have to do this, the phone booth scene or whatever, right? So if they're smart,
the kids are, what's a phone booth?
Yeah.
What's the phone booth, Andre? I don't know if there are phone booths anymore.
So yeah, I think if they can do that, I think he's got charisma, he's got talent. I think he's got talent that we haven't seen yet, and I think that's the real issue. Like, one of my favorite parts in Man of Steel was when he talked to the pastor, and he says, everybody wants me to do this, and the pastor's like, well, what do you want to do? Like to me, that was a genuine moment, and that was a moment where he came out, And the other moment that I liked in, I think it was it Batman, Superman, or Justice League? I think it was Batman, Superman, where Lois is, saying, I don't want to lose you or whatever, and they're in the bathtub, and he just gets in the bathtub with his clothes on and stuff. I'm like, that's a very Clark Kent moment. That's a very, he loves this woman, and that comes across. So I think if you write those moments, he can play that, and he still has the presence and kind of like the duality of the character. Sure, people didn't like his origin story from Man of Steel, but at least I'll give them credit for explaining why he was that way instead of just shoehorning the movie and say, here we go, this is the dude, we're never going to explain why he thinks differently. But if you go back and you watch it, he may have been brought up differently, but he still had the actions that made him pure of heart. He always wanted to do right. It was just that, his family wanted to protect him. And I think that's a very legitimate thing. If you're a parent and your kid could do all these things, you still want to protect your child, even if the person is super and stuff, So yes, it wasn't the Man of Steel we grew up reading, especially us, but I think it was a very relevant way to do it.
Do you remember that scene at the end of Justice League when they defeat Steppenwolf? And he's sitting there and Cyborg's in like 3 pieces and Superman's sitting there laughing, and he's like, Cyborg's like, I can't feel my toes and some of that. Like, is that the type, he was very jovial because he came back from the dead. He was very jovial, playful. His costume was even a lighter blue than what it had been. Is that the type of Superman you want Cavill to play? Was a bit more playful, lighthearted that we got at the very end of Justice League? Or do you want him to be a bit more kind of how he was at the end of Man of Steel? Again,
I think you combine the two. Superman is going to stand up in front of authority and say, hey, you can't treat people this way or whatever. But then with his friends, he's going to have that little like lighthearted thing. Like, he's not somebody who's super stoic like Batman all the time, but he's not going to take any guff from the military who basically tried to screw him over, right? So I think that's one of those things. Like, and again, it's good that you brought that up because it's kind of like the same thing with, remember Gal Gadot at the end of Batman vs Superman? Doomsday clocks her and she just smiles and she's like, oh, it's fun. And from that moment, you're like, oh my God, she's got it. Then you see her in Wonder Woman and she's playing this super effeminate woman that never had ice cream before. And you're like, wow, it's an age of wonder. And then you see her singing when they're playing the guitar and stuff like that. You see the range of the character, and that comes through from the actor, right? So I think given a good script, this guy can do it, regardless of what he started out.
Stu, wait. Okay, let's go back to this. Stu, you're upset. So you're not happy with it.
I'm just Andre's dancing on my question. He's dancing, but that's fine. That's fine. That's it.
What do you mean I'm dancing on your question?
So Rob, let me just get the record straight. Who is your Superman of choice of the Superman on movies and the silver screen? Who's your Superman? I just want you to say it out loud.
Kirk Allen. No. Oh God, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna go with Oh man, I don't know. I'm a huge Reeves fan. Like I love Christopher Reeves, man. Like that's my Superman. I love Henry Cavill, but we discussed this before when we talked about our DC picks. Hey, go to YouTube, check it out. We discussed our DC movie picks, and I love that scene of him still flying up. And we talked about this, 1,000 times about, him telling Lois, about to tell Lois, takes the glasses off, and he stands up and gains 4 inches and goes back down. That was his two characters in one. In one shot, he became two people, Superman and Clark Kent. Christopher Reeve was amazing. I see what Andre was saying, though, is that he was a Superman of that time. He was reflective of that era. He was a hope in the 70s. That the 70s are pretty dark, especially in New York and everything else. It was a dark end of the 70s, right? And he was a beacon of hope and was reflective of that character. Going forward, it's got to be. I want Cavill as Superman. Oh man, this is killing me. I'm gonna say Cavill is a Superman, but because Christopher Reeve his time is done, and I gotta look forward to the next. Listen, I have 4 movies with Reeves.
I find you guys can pick the thing. Here's the thing: you guys talk about Superman. Like Christopher Reeves is still my Superman. Just like if Batman, if I had to pick my Batman, it's and if I pick anime, it's Kevin Conroy. I don't care what anyone says because he does it better than anyone else.
You told me George Clooney was your Batman.
No, I did not. So I did not at all. So at this standpoint. I get what you guys are saying about Cavill, but I think you guys also have to bear in mind that the scripts written at time frame they were limited by their technology, and if they had the CGI and everything, then that Superman he would have been more robust and things more differently. I just think that when it comes to people were fine with seeing more of the Clark Kent being a little bit goofy and totally being able to embody both Clark Kent and Superman so well is what I pick Christopher Reeves above Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill is fine, but Henry Cavill also could make his Clark Kent his own because he's been Clark Kent. He just doesn't do the bumbling stuff that I'm used to with Chris Reeves and just the slouching and everything like you said before. There's a scene in Superman like that he can flip back and forth so easily and be able to show that farm boy when he was in that thing with baseball bat hitting the ball out of the field. It's just it's it. I get modern technology, but it's the same reason why, as much as I think that the new trilogy is an achievement in technology and special effects, I still love the old stuff because the old stuff is about story and about character. So that's the same thing that Christopher Reeves. That's what has more than anything else.
Yeah, I will say, listen, it's a hard question to answer because if I have a choice between watching Superman the movie or Man of Steel, my heart is going to go with Superman the movie. But I'm very cognizant that might just be tied to a massive amount of nostalgia drug that I need. Like mainline it in because I love that nostalgia, the feeling I had watching that movie. So I don't know. I agree with what you're saying, Stu. Superman the movie is a great movie. Superman 2 is a great sequel. I really like Man of Steel, but I was 6, right? I was 2 when it came out originally. I saw it when I was 6. I was 30 something when Man of Steel came out, right? So I don't know what the right answer is. You're right. Even Andre said Cavill is a great Superman. Christopher Reeve was a great Clark Kent. Does that mean Brandon Routh was the best of both worlds? I don't know.
I think so.
Oh,
John's Brandon Routh. I'll ride or die with Brandon Routh. Again, Andre talks about bad scripting work. He was given a raw deal, man. He should have been given another movie. He was a bad script.
Man. Bryan Singer screwed him over the heart.
You know what? Bryan Singer should never get another superhero movie.
Agreed.
Listen, I'll give him X-Men 1 and I'll give him X-Men 2.
Yes.
But then he left X-Men to go F up Superman because Superman Returns was an awful movie. Like that, anyways, I want to say this. I think
I still to this day haven't seen the whole thing.
Wait, what movie?
Superman, whatever the Brandon Routh one is. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Superman Returns? Wait, he punches
and I was
giant city of.
I was hyped for it. When that bullet shoots him in the eye.
Yeah.
I was like hyped for it, and I never ended up going.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's not good. But I think here's the thing. I think what we're hitting on is Superman is a complex character. he happens to not only be the ultimate human being, he is also the ultimate, alien and ultimate outsider who's been adopted, and Earth is his home. And I think that what we need is a person who is making that movie needs to recognize where the time frame they want him to be in, and they need to be able to tell a story that showcases the different sides of him. And I don't think he's had the best deal in the movies and DC television, but I think Jeff Johns' run on Superman is the best run of the character in a long time. Like, he gets that character. Like, I would literally just take either Secret Origin or take the Superman Brainiac and be like, listen, don't bring me a Hollywood writer. Don't bring me a Hollywood script writer. Don't bring me this is going to be the story. We are going to storyboard it, and we are going to do it. And that's where you get, like, when you look at Gary Frank's art on a lot of that, like the Superman and the Legion, Superman Brainiac, I can't remember what the other one, Superman Secret Origin.
Secret Origins, yeah.
He basically drew Christopher Reeves
as
Superman, but then he was Jack. And there's so many moments in there, like Rob's talking about, where he's happy when he's talking to people, when he goes visits his parents and stuff like that. Like, that's the character, and that's what shines through. And I just think that the people who've been writing these movies are all about the blockbuster. Like, okay, where can we see Superman in space? Where can we see Superman flying super fast? Where can we see Superman? And they forget that Superman is only Superman because he was Clark Kent first.
Yep.
And everything that Clark Kent knows and everything that Superman embodies comes from his upbringing. And that is all based on his parents and thus his humanity. So he is the epitome. Without his powers, he is still going to be the epitome of what a human should aspire to be and do. And it's not
Superman
like
2 when he lost his powers and got his ass kicked.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He's still going to step up, and he's still going to do right, And I think that, like, it's just sad that, Jeff Johns worked with Donner. You know what I mean? Like you've got a guy who can write these characters, understands these characters, yet for some reason they don't believe that he on his own can do movies. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah, and as long as you don't give Jeff Johns the key to your cinematic universe, you're okay. So
I think you should give him the key.
I think he was given the key, and it didn't turn out very well.
No, but
so
this goes back to what we were talking about. Too many hands in the cookie jar. Don't tell me that Jeff Johns can't.
I think he was the reason. I think there's lots of rumors that he was the reason why they brought in Josh Whedon. He pulled a power play, and I want Josh Whedon to come in because he saw Josh Whedon make the Avengers, and he's like, I want that dude.
Or
of course he would want that guy because he again, conflict of vision from him and Snyder, right? So the thing is, you've got to let him start and finish a project. You can't have him like, oh, I'm giving you the script, and then they come in and bring all these different things. Like, listen, I know he was responsible for a lot of stuff in Titans, but there was a lot of other forces in that. Like, he's written Titan stuff better than that. All I'm saying is that for some reason, the television and movie guys don't respect the comic book guys enough, and those are the guys that built all the stories to begin with. And it doesn't matter if I'm talking about Jeff Johns today, or Denny O'Neil in the past, or a John Byrne or a Claremont X-Men story. If you want to adapt those stories to the big screen, you got to read those stories and know what gives them heart, And I think that the movie guys, they definitely don't do it. I could say the exact same thing about what was going on in the Star Wars movies. They don't get it. You know what I mean? And they don't get it because they're not vested in it. You know what I mean? Like, it would be like, you're not going to pick me, Andre, comic shop guy, reads comics since he was 6, can't name 4 Raptors, and you're like, hey, Andre, we want you to make a movie about the Raptors' journey to the NBA Finals. I'd be like, I don't know nothing about that. You know what I mean? So that's what
the NBA.
You got it. Yeah, the NBA. I'm like, what the hell's the NBA? You know, like you have to get and respect the people who are doing or who have done or who are in there. That doesn't mean I'm saying take just a fan and give a fanboy movie. But if there's somebody who'd be like, well, I understand script making, Jeff Johns. I understand these characters, written them for X amount of years, understand storyboarding and working with artists and stuff like that. Yeah, then you pour on top of that equation, say, okay, well, we need somebody who can cue the actors and this and that and whatever. And we saw, I know you're going to argue with me, Stu, but we saw it with the animated series, Batman the Animated Series. They gave two people the keys to redefine and start from scratch a Batman universe, and they made the best one, hands down, period, end stop. Right?
No, I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
Of course, it is an animated one, so it isn't, you know, as maybe
profitable.
Profitable. Maybe it's not as difficult as it is to do that same thing with actors and stuff. But at the same time, you know, like I guess with all this rambling I'm doing here, but like let's take a look at another movie. You mentioned it earlier. Let's look at Blade Runner, right? Blade Runner, fantastic original film. But don't tell me Denis Villeneuve did not love that. And when he made a sequel, it was like, wow, this thing just fits. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Like he understood it.
Yes.
Liked it.
But it made no money.
I know, but
I agree. I agree.
Sometimes the art speaks for itself.
But you have shareholders, Andre.
He's gonna do Dune, and I think he understand what makes Dune Dune. You don't say, hey, let me go get my boy, what's the guy, the Bad Boys director, the original one, Michael Bay. Michael Bay, we want you to do a Dune movie. Whoa, what the hell would that be? You know what I mean? The worms would be like bopping and stuff like that. That'd be crazy. You're gonna get the wrong dude. But there's dudes that, like, again, a Denis Villeneuve who's gonna come and he's gonna understand it and he's gonna do it.
We've talked about this 100 times. Shareholders, and this is a big corporation that all they need to do is make more money to feed the shareholders and make more profits. So at the end of the day, comic book movies are about how can we make as much money as possible. It's not about story. It's about churning out a product that fits all the vectors between children, women, men, and get them to movie theaters. And that's it. And until the day where Marvel goes bought up by someone else.
So now we might not be able to get them to the movie theaters, though.
So Stu is not happy about Cavill coming back, and
I'm fine with Cavill coming back.
No, you said you weren't. No, you're. And then Andre is happy about it. John, now that you're not, doing a rendition of Fast and Furious 11, what do you?
I'm down. I love Cavill as Superman. I don't know if it's like warranted though, because he hasn't really gotten a real chance to shine. The parts in Man of Steel are great. There's a couple shining moments in Batman v Superman and Justice League. So I'm down. I would like to see them at least get it right.
How about this, Rob? I'm fine with Henry Cavill coming back. I'm disappointed that it's only halvesies. I want a full movie.
And I agree with you. I'm right there with you.
Oh, they're gonna tease that though.
I am, but I do really want to know the methodology behind it. I really do.
Money.
I don't think he even left. Did he?
He didn't do anything else. It's money. 100% it's money. There's no other way he's going to do it.
I don't know, man.
Gotta be.
Wait a minute. So let's.
Gotta be.
Okay, let's just say.
It's money.
I'm going to throw it out there.
Okay.
Hey, Henry, we can give you $1 million. You're going to star in your own movie. Or we're going to give you $1 million and we're going to have you cameo in 4 movies with an option of having your own movie afterwards. We can renegotiate. Like, what do you think for him?
Maybe he was like, I don't want a movie because
just having his own movie cement his status in that character more, or does having him appear in essentially what would be 7 different movies as Superman? Is that more? That's the Robert Downey Jr. model.
No, but here's the thing. He looks at his.
I thought that was a Samuel Jackson model.
Yeah, Samuel Jackson. He looks at his counterpoints. You look at what Chris Evans makes. You look at Chris Helmsworth. He could say, I want what they're making. I want $30 million a movie because this thing's going to make $600 million. How much was Chris Evans making in the last Whatever they were
Avengers movie, whatever, maybe like 7-8 million. Like they weren't like Downey Jr. was making the serious bank. The rest of them were just they were doing well. Like I wouldn't complain if I was them, but I don't think they weren't making 30 million a movie. How could you have the Avengers? That you're looking already at like 300 million in budget just in salary. It's not going to happen, right? You know they probably got a lower salary and then a cut off the back end, right?
Yeah, like I'm sure he was asking for more money, so therefore, in terms of Avengers, because they all got a pay bump from the like Paul Rudd made $41 million. So
well, again, that's probably again a lot of that's going to be based on. Wait, for the Avengers or for Ant-Man? He didn't make it for Ant-Man.
Well, I'm gonna look at the
You're Googling what is Paul Rudd worth.
No, I'm Googling their salaries for
That's
the last
a good payday
movie.
for Paul Rudd.
So
for Ant-Man, 41 million. I don't even think it made 41 million at the box.
No, I think he made it for all of 2019.
Come on. Anyways, all I'm saying is that I think this is it's intriguing. I would love to be a fly in the wall to find out what's the idea behind wanting Cavill and not in his own movie. Why do they want him?
$30 million for Thor Ragnarok. He made $15 million for Avengers Infinity War, Chris Hemsworth. So I'm sure Cavill wanted at least $20 to $30 million for his own movie.
Yeah,
I don't know if DC was willing to pay that. Because Chris Hemsworth is not, I would say, better than Henry Cavill at this standpoint, because the movies he's done on his own have failed. Because Men in Black 2 failed completely. Andre is Henry Cavill with the same amount.
Yeah, but here's the thing though, is that there's been a lot of online react. People love Cavill. They've been championing him to come back in this role. The online community championed the Snyder Cut, and we got it. Great. So, does that amount, is that quantifiable? Can you take that amount of online fan reaction and say there's a movement here and it may translate? Now, I don't know what the answer to that is, because we can all go back 13 years to Snakes on a Plane, and everybody online was saying, we're going to go see this. They thought, holy shit, we're going to make a ton of cash. And that movie made like $12 at the box office.
Well, same thing with
Andre
mentioned it, Blade Runner. We all talked about how we loved Denis Villeneuve and Blade Runner is going to be awesome, and no one damn saw it. I did too, but like the four of us are probably the only people that went to see it.
Wait, John, did you go see Blade Runner in theater?
I got to see it still.
So three of us.
I missed it. I wanted to.
So there we go. So if Henry Cavill wanted $20 million, then DC's like, no.
Well, okay, so then it goes. All right.
If it's just money.
You're saying it's money. You're saying the reason he's not getting his own movie is because it's money. I think it might be artistic.
He made for Justice League or Batman versus Superman. He probably made.
I don't think he made $20 million, but it's the bar you set that you can make even more the next one. So you have to keep on going up. You don't go less.
I think I don't know, man. I think there's a plan in place. Hopefully, maybe this is just me being exceptionally naive and being too hopeful. Maybe there's a plan finally in place, and the reason they haven't come back for these cameos is they have an idea of what they want to do going forward with all these movies. I don't know, because guess what? Just like a few months ago, they were saying that they don't want to have a connective movie verse. They wanted it to be standalone. So I don't know what they're doing. But if they're having him in all these cameo movies, they're obviously going back to the connected universe. So who the hell knows? I have no idea. At the end of the day, all I know is Henry Cavill's back as Superman, and I'm pretty happy about that. And if I get him in 4 cameos, and they're good, and he's he adds something to the movie the way Ruffalo Hulk did with Ragnarok, which is a great movie, and I know Andre, you're gonna love it. if that's the reasoning, then I'm happy with that. I'll be happy with that. But if it's just like, one woman's fighting somebody, and then all of a sudden Superman comes in and gives us an after school special wisdom moment, and then takes off, then what the hell's the point?
What if in all the movies, basically, Superman's just the form-blazing sword? Like, Wonder Woman gets their ass kicked, and Superman just flies in and clocks it and then flies off.
Yeah.
And
that could help.
He's like One Punch Man.
Got Tyrese, Green Lantern, doing something.
No, that's not happening. No,
it better happen.
Okay. All right, so
Henry Cavill.
Green Lantern.
That's why he's not doing Superman.
So
he wants Tyrese on. put it in the internet. He wants Tyrese on his.
Apparently, Henry Cavill made $14 million for Superman, Man of Steel.
Hey, you know what? And for a guy who only came off of Rome, right? That was
with all the whole package with bonuses and blah blah blah, all in, everything came out.
What about Batman versus Superman? Can you find that?
I am looking at that. But
should we also not talk about the fact that Stu still thinks George Clooney was the best Batman? That's really weird.
No, it wasn't. You're mistaken. He didn't say Clooney. He
that
said
this is a. Do you want me to sue you? This is slander. This is
Val
Rob.
Kilmer,
You should know
who
better
invented the duck face.
You should make more. You should know already that you shouldn't slander someone on a recorded podcast. There's now evidence.
But slander's only as if it affects your income, Stu. It's not going to affect your income.
By saying George Clooney is my favorite Batman, you are affecting my income going forward. So do not do this. Do not start the slander because that is not a good idea.
That's really weird, man.
Oh man, no.
Rob, Stu, we had Andre. What about John? Who's your favorite on-screen Superman? If you say Dean Cain, I'm going to reach for the computer.
Oh man, Dean Cain, he was a cool dude.
Dude, he played on the Buffalo Bills. Leave him alone. He's a football player.
I want to say Cavill, but when I see Christopher Reeve in that movie on screen, there's no denying it. Like, got this. I don't know if you can see it back here. I got this wicked picture from Jess.
Yeah.
Well, it's the stores, but I stole it. But yeah, Christopher Reeve, like even when he's just walking around, like getting hot dogs in his Clark Kent. Sorry, I got my kids here. That's why I keep popping on and off.
Yeah.
Yes, dear. Okay.
She just said Cavill's too small.
Yeah,
he can't do
yeah.
He's got to work out. That Cavill guy's got to work out. But yeah, no. When I see Christopher Reeve on that screen in that outfit, acting like Superman and as Clark Kent, you can't beat it. You can't do anything to it.
So do you want Cavill in a Christopher Reeve costume, or do you like the Cavill fake muscle costume?
I like the new suit. I do like the new suit design. You don't need help.
Sorry. As I do more research, the Hollywood Reporter has indicated that it was a negotiation ploy by Henry Cavill's people to negotiate more money. So the reason why he stopped was because he felt he deserved more money. The amount of money is withstanding, but based on the Hollywood Reporter, it says basically he wanted to be paid the same as what the Marvel people are being paid. So,
but we don't know. Listen, DC may have come in and Marvel may have been lowballed them, saying, "Okay, for your next movie, we're only going to give you $10 million." He'd be like, "Wait a minute, like we don't know."
Yeah. So, well, again, that's the Hollywood Reporter. So that's
it's a reputable trade.
Yep, that's what it says right there. So, again,
I'm happy. I'm happy that he's back. I'm very interested to see what this means going forward for DC movies. I was honestly, I swear, I thought we were going to standalone movies. We thought we'd work with the Joker.
Still can. I
thought Matt Reeves' Batman is standalone. It's not connected to anything. He still got Wonder Woman. Is on her own thing.
I think
it was over.
I think the comments from YouTube's from our thing says that we don't know what's going to happen yet, so let's not count our ducks until it's in a row. And they could still be a separate universe, and this is its own pocket still because it is what it is. And this new Batman is a new Batman. That's it, a new Batman universe. Because that Commissioner Gordon is definitely different than the Commissioner Gordon I saw as well. So in various ways. So,
but J.K. Simmons, he got jacked for Justice League. Did you see those photos of him?
Yeah, but it was jacked originally.
But he was massive.
It doesn't matter. He's only J. Jonah Jameson. It doesn't matter to what he does. He's the only person like put on a mustache and I want to say Spider-Man
and a high top.
And a high top. That's all I care about. There's some people that are who they are what they are. And he is J. Jonah Jameson, and that's it. He can try to be Commissioner Gordon, but it's not the same. So
all right.
Well, we're gonna wrap this up because this is a long podcast already. So I want to thank everyone for somehow staying through this hour-plus podcast and listen to our ramblings of a madman. So appreciate staying.
Wait, which one of us was the madman?
I'll let the audience choose.
Probably the guy wearing the sports jersey.
Who's wearing the sports jersey?
Oh, wait, what's on your shirt, Stu?
This is Shawn Michaels holding the Stanley Cup. It's
Oh,
HBK. I don't know. It's
I didn't see it
the
with
Heartbreak
Shawn
Kid.
Michaels. I just saw this the Stanley Cup.
It
I
is
was
the
like,
Stanley Cup. It's the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, holding the Stanley Cup. You know, he's just a boy toy. You know, this is what happens.
Wow.
Wow.
George Clooney and the Heartbreak Kid. There's a lot we're learning about you tonight, Stu.
Rob, if we went down that dark tunnel that you've already declared your love for various things, we would have our podcast shut down. So let's just say Rob shared some very dark things, and if I would, my lawyers would put me away in jail. So I'm going to keep my mouth shut and carry on. So anyways, thanks everyone for listening to us. Please support your local comic book store. Go to Heroes World. Pick up a Superman comic that has Christopher Reeve's likeness in it and support the cause. And hopefully we'll hear more news and we'll come back with more topics. So John, Andre, where can they find more of you on the interwebs?
Yeah, so the Facebook is up and running, Heroes World Online. We do have like this YouTube channel. If you're on here, subscribe, like, get in the comments. We like interacting with you. And then you can call us directly. Just look up our number on the, I don't know if I want to give it out on the internet, but you can look it up on the website.
You can still find it on the internet. I don't
I don't know. It's going to get calls from like around the world. And then you can email us at sales.heroesworld@gmail.com.
Andre,
Sorry.
Andre, where can we find?
So, our Facebook page, Heroes World Online, that's our most used page. But yeah, this obviously we are getting more regular on the YouTube channel. So make sure you like, subscribe, tell a friend, and also comment on what you want us to chat about or stuff, and then we'll incorporate that. This is basically, we're doing it during the quarantine time, as Stu calls it, our quarantine podcast. But we're going to keep it going now that things are kind of loosening up. But we want you to get that in-store comic book vibe from listening to us guys talk, because this is what we used to do every Wednesday, right, Rob?
Yeah, man, it was great. It's great. And you know what? It's I don't know, man. Maybe it's because we're getting older, right? And, you know, you're busy with life and this and that, but it's a lot of fun being able to chat with your friends about shit that, you know, if you think about it, if you get a bunch of girls together, talk about, you know, who love comics and movies, they talk about this shit, guys talk about it. We all talk about it, right? So let's, you know, join in the conversation, as John and Andre said. Comment, and Stu said, comment in the YouTube links, comment on, you know, on Instagram, and let us know what you guys want us to chat about, because it's fun. It's great having these type of conversations. I think everybody else is having them as well. That's reality.
Mm-hmm. Rob, where can they find you more on the internet?
It's at Rob Gadet. That's my Twitter and Instagram, and that's, you can hit me up there, and you know, message during the in the YouTube comments, because I'll go in there and try to defend Stu
and get the fist stuff going.
No, you know, I love.
No need to defend me. It's all good.
I love. I mean, that shirt's indefensible, but I love everybody's comments. I love everybody's comments. I like them. Listen, it's great. This is the one thing that's positive about this community, be it a comic book community, you know, the movie community, whatever. Everybody's cool, man. Everybody has their own opinions, as evidenced in this episode. But man, it's all chill, so it's great.
Yep. Special shout out to John's daughters, who are just hanging out in the background. So that's
they're going nuts. That's why I got to tape these when they're asleep.
Even a bigger special guest star. So anyways, that's all for today. We'll see you all soon. Good night. Good day. See you later.
Cavill!